You what? Twilight asked a very shocked pony with a pale yellow coat and a pink mane. I'm telling the truth, Twilight. I looked out my window this morning and saw a gaping hole over the evergreen forest. Twilight had a thoughtful look on her face. Okay then. We'll get Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Pinkie Pie's taking care of pound cake and pumpkin cake today, so we won't bother her. Twilight said, okay, Twilight, Fluttershy replied with her small voice. Meanwhile, in the Everfree Forest, Sniper was just waking up and looked around. Where the bloody hell are we? He said. He heard Scout complaining about his headache. Oh man, now I know how Mr. T felt when Rocky started winning. Spotted at him. You're not the only one, boy. You must have collided heads during our teleportation. Spy said, holding his head the same as Scout. Soldier and Demo Man were already up and arguing about something. Sniper walked over to listen, but he wished he hadn't. I'm telling you, Starlin was involved in the Battle of Waterloo, Soldier said. No, lad. Starlin was a wee baby, little baby, Demo Man yelled in response. How in the God's name did they get into this one? How in God's name did they get into this one? Sniper thought. He then went over to Engineer, who was somehow talking to Pyro. Was all Sniper heard coming out of Pyro's mouth, but Engineer replied, No, y'all just can't burn the whole burn forest down. Just to see where we are. That's not mighty right of us, partner. Sniper noticed a river. Oi, you knuckleheads! I think I found a way for us to see if there's a village. Everyone stopped what they were doing to look at Sniper. In my years of survival in the outback, there's one thing I know. If you find a river, follow the current and you should find wildlife. Wildlife can bring our food, can be our food source. Maybe we'll find civilization. Everyone gave Sniper a blank stare at first, but then Engineer brought the time. He's right. If anyone knows anything about the wild, Sniper does. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then let's get going. Lead the way, Sniper. Sniper nodded and led the team down the river following the current. Sure, let's trust the bushman with our lives, the spy whispered. But Spy's ears were as good as his eyes. I heard that. Weren't as good as his eyes. I heard that, wanker. Spy immediately looked down and said, Lead the way. Lead the way. As the red team got into the clearing, their hopes started to rise when they began to see a small town. Well, Sniper, looks like you were right. Sniper admitted. Scott at living. You just noticed? Sniper jokingly said. Then out of nowhere, Soldier and Demo Man's argument started up again. Starlin was in Waterloo, and Scotland is not a real country. Soldier yelled in Demo Man's face. No, hang on here. No, and yes, the proud land of Scotland is be real, and you be warned, and if you don't stop, they'll have to glue your eyes back together in hell. Oh, great, Sniper muttered. Then he went to scan the area on a nearby rock while the others talked and argued. New Red's location? Darling, tell me again why you asked for our help, Rarity. Because Fluttershy said that she saw something strange happen at the Everfree Forest. So I agreed. Okay. Because Fluttershy said something about something strange happening at the Everfree Forest. So I agreed for us to check it out. Hang on here. Well, whatever it is, it better be small, because I gotta practice more for the Wonderbolts, Rainbow said anxiously. Just hold on there, Shirt Cube, Applejack said. Don't y'all ever want to stop that darn training? Applejack asked Rainbow Dash. Of course not, Rainbow Dash replied, as if she had been asked to hurt someone. Practice makes perfect, so I practice every second I can. Meanwhile, Applejack and Rainbow Dash were arguing. Fluttershy was talking to Twilight. Twilight, do you think whatever we're looking for will be friendly? Fluttershy asked timidly. I'm sure they will. Don't worry about it, Twilight replied, trying to calm down the still nervous Fluttershy. What in the name of Celestia is that? Rarity said. In the distance, they could hear a voice screaming, Scotland is not a real country! What the fuck is Scotland? Rainbow Dash blurted out. Let's get closer and investigate. Twilight said. The 5 ponies got into the area of tall grass. Twilight pushed some aside with her hoof and the view of the voices, and the other ponies did the same. What they saw filled them with curiosity and fear. Twilight was carrying a book with her about rare creatures, but these 9 creatures she saw were not in there anywhere. She dropped the book in shock, and the wind was somehow strong enough to blow the book away from her. But she didn't even notice because she had her eyes on the 9 creatures. They were dressed in the unique red and black clothing, as Rarity whispered, and were all walking on 2 legs. One was short, stocky, and wearing a hard hat with a pair of goggles. He was looking at what Twilight figured was a blueprint. The one he was talking to was the creepiest to the ponies. Fluttershy had her eyes mostly covered. The man smoked the one man in the hard hat was talking to what was wearing some kind of mask and a full red jumpsuit. When whatever gender it spoke, nothing came out but "Hurrah!" The ponies went left to right to look at one another. There was one wearing a helmet that covered his eyes with odd round-shaped objects on a belt that were worn around his chest. He was arguing with a creature that skin was darker than the others. He had an eye patch and even more little rounded object on his belt. He had on the one. Then there was one that Rarity looked at and said, "He's charming, whatever he is." The others looked at who she was talking about. The male creature, they figured out that they were all male except for the one with the mask because they didn't see his face, was wearing a mask that covered his face, all his face except for his eyes and mouth. He was also wearing a red suit. He was talking to a creature that looked like them but was younger and more energetic. He was wearing a cap with an earpiece as she heard the man in the red suit say during their conversation. Then they were shocked as they saw the size of the next creature. He was a living giant that was bald with huge hands and even bigger belly. He was talking to a man who was wearing glasses and dark hair, had a white lab coat and a red operation gloves on. "But doctor, how could little man like that be able to eat that much?" the large one asked. "I do not know, Conrad, but he was one of the biggest eaters in my hometown." Then they looked at the last one who caught Twilight's attention the most. He was a tall creature, but nowhere as tall as the bald giant. He was wearing a hat that was turned up at the side of. He had orange up to one side, and he was wearing orange glasses. He was wearing a black vest over a red t-shirt and brown pants and shoes, as she heard the young one say, complaining about how his feet hurt and his. They started to whisper each other about the other 9 creatures.